everyone, welcome back to the Underswell. I'm Derek Sabori, and today we're going to dive into a video on a topic that a lot of you are probably dealing with and addressing, whether you are a brand, a supplier, or even a customer. The question is, how should we talk to customers about sustainability? Let's dive in. There are a whole bunch of things to consider, and I want to go through a checklist and address them all. So stick around. We're going to dive into communication right now. So when we're talking about communicating sustainability to consumers, it's really important that we've done the legwork ahead of time, right? Communication with our customers is at the very tail end of the whole process, and it's probably one of the most important aspects of the whole package. Here's why. Communicating in the right way to our customers is super important because it's going to help us move forward the momentum of all that we are doing together collaboratively as an industry. If we come out and we fall flat and we are not educating the customer in the right way, if we are not informing them, if we're not inspiring them, motivating and educating them, then we're not going to get very far in our whole effort and our whole push for sustainability. So I'm going to break it into two parts. We're going to look at what to do when communicating sustainability and what not to do when communicating sustainability. Let's start with the what to do list. First, we have to make sure that we're doing it honestly. And this is where the responsibility and the accountability is on you. We need to make sure that you are well informed, that you've got the data points, that you've got the facts, that you've got reliable information, and that you can honestly convey that to the customer. We do not want to be putting out information that is dishonest or hopeful just so we can try to get that sale. Let the customer know what it is, what data you have, where that data came from, and let them decide, but be honest in your approach. That's the first thing. The next thing that I recommend is that we are humble in our approach. Sustainability is so complex. There is so much that we are working on, so much that we're dealing with. So it is super, super important that we tone it down, be humble in our approach, know that we probably didn't get it right, that sustainability doesn't have a finish line, that there is no sustainable, there is no perfect, there is no eco. So we have to just sort of settle in and let our customers know that, hey, there's a lot of things that we are not doing. We understand that, but here's what we are doing, and here's where we still have to go. These are the things that are left for us to do. All of that is super important, and just being humble about it, just like we would in our normal lives, go about our business, just sort of doing what we do a good job at it, work hard, but guess what? In the end, just be humble and know that there's somebody can call you out for something, so it's super important, I think, to stay really, really humble in your communication. Next, and this goes back to the honesty part, we need to make sure that we communicate correctly. So make sure that there are no errors, or that you're not saying or that you're not saying the wrong thing, using the wrong language, alluding to maybe something that was incorrect. The way that I talk to my clients when I'm working with them is that I want to create a voice or a brand message for them that resonates with me and my tribe, those of us who dive in and are constantly researching and trying to learn and going through all the reports and everything and gathering up all of our insights to share with our customers. I want it to resonate with me. I want it to resonate with your brand voice, and I want it to resonate with the customer as well. So there's a sort of triangulation, if you will. But I'm going to be super hypercritical, and there are others, the journalists, the NGOs, they're going to be hypercritical as well. So we need to make sure that you are correctly conveying the initiatives that you've put forth, right? So that as I'm reading it, as that community is reading it, none of us are like, I don't know. We want to make sure that we are going through there, just kind of nodding, going, yep, that looks right, that looks right, that looks right. Acknowledging too that if you've got data points, maybe that if you've got LCA data points, or that you're referencing something, acknowledging too that there right now is a lot of critical debate going on where that data came from. Was it true? Can we really rely on that LCA data? Have a look at that video that I recently did on life cycles for beginners. There's some good things in there, but it is really important to just do your due diligence and make sure that you are correctly stating and speaking to and talking about the sustainability initiatives that you put forward. Lastly, keep it open-ended. This kind of goes back to that idea of doing it humbly and honestly. They all kind of tie together, but keep it open-ended and not really definitive. What do I mean by that? I mean that sustainability, as cliche as it sounds, is a journey. And that product, just because you used a sustainable material or a less hazardous chemical, or it was made with recycled inputs, or any of the checklist of things that we do, that it was, fair wages, fair trade, etc. Those are all good, but there are hundreds of dials that we should be turning. And guess what? Chances are you're not addressing all of them. It's just so difficult. Going back to the SDGs, right? The Sustainable Development Goals. There are 17 goals, 169 targets in there. You're checking off a few of them, and that's really good, and it's good progress. So acknowledge that and be open to it. Be humble and let your customers know that, hey, we're not done. There's not a finish line here. There's still more for us to do, and we know we can do it. We will continue to do it. We're going to get there. But in the meanwhile, stick with us and celebrate the progress that we have made. But ultimately, what I want you to do when you're communicating sustainability to your customers is to do it in a voice that helps your customers understand what you're doing, why you're doing, what they should know. So educate them as you're speaking to them. Motivate them and inspire them to lean into these purchases that you've put effort into, and you have put the effort into doing and making products, doing business better, making your products better. So share that with your customers, but let them know that there's still a lot of work to do, but try to motivate them, inspire them, keep them hungry for more. And while you're talking to them, as you educate yourself, try to pass that education on to them. One of the things I hear from all of my clients and from customers and students is that we're just not informed. We weren't educated, and that is why I do what I do at the Underswell, because none of us, very few of us, I should say, got sustainability education, understanding, or learned about the triple bottom line or the climate crisis through our educational or our career pathways. We just didn't. We all went down specialty areas and we got a little bit of input on it, but very few of us were well equipped coming into the marketplace or even into our 10, 15 years of career life. Very few of us have that information. So it's something that I went out and did, and I'm trying to bring back to you. All right? So that's the list of the things that I want you to do. Here then is the list, the anti-list of the things that I don't want you to do when communicating to customers. I'll start this off by saying, go have a look at the video that I did on greenwashing, the 5 most common greenwashing mistakes that we see. But keep this in mind. I recently heard a phrase that I really like, this idea of green wishing. Right? And I think it was from Maxine Badat, an author who just put out a great new book on sustainability in the fashion industry. But this idea of we put out initiatives in the hope that they will be sustainable and really kind of ramp them up because we want them to be good, right? We really want the customer to know that we're making an effort, but we're more hopeful than that product is truly sustainable, right? And so it's not greenwashing because it's not false or misleading, but it is more hopeful and wishing that it was better than it actually really is. I like to think of using recycled plastic bottles, right? It's like, for a while that was the thing, and they're still good. There's going to be a video that I do on are recycled materials better? We'll tackle that one later, but there are pros and cons for sure. So using those recycled plastic bottles does not make the product sustainable. Hooray, we did it. Make sure you talk to your customers and just say, hey, here's what we're doing. Here's what we know is better. Here's where we can still go from here. So avoid greenwashing, of course, nothing misleading, nothing false, and avoid green wishing, which takes me to the first thing not to do. Don't over-sensationalize your products. Super important, I think, to not come out and say, we used organic cotton, we're the greatest, we're the best, this is sustainable, the most sustainable t-shirt. It's like, organic cotton has been around for a long time and it has a lot of benefits, and it is good, and it is sort of the preferred fiber when it comes to cotton, but recycled is also good. There are a lot, tree-based fibers done in the right way. Those are good. There are new biomaterials, biosynthetics that are coming up. Those are good. So there are a lot of different options. So careful not to raise the checkered flag and let people know that you've done it. Careful not to say this is the best, the most sustainable, the best, unless you have really gone through the exercise of quantifying, measuring, comparing, analyzing, getting third-party input and evaluations on it, peer reviews, etc. Just going back to being humble. Don't overhype things that really don't need to be overhyped. Going back to those things that are now table stakes, right? Recycled inputs, organic, the very few things that we have right now, the better versions of man-made cellulosics, etc. Those now are just table stakes, so don't overhype them. That sort of does us a disservice, and it doesn't move the momentum that we've got forward. Of course, make sure that nothing that you put out is false or misleading. So we don't want to overhype it, and we don't want to misinform. So do your homework and make sure you've got the right information. Make sure that your products are not done in a definitive way, meaning that we didn't get to the finish line. This is not sustainable. This is not eco-friendly. This is not the end. There is still so much to do. Leave it open-ended and just kind of, be upfront with your customers. Be honest, be open, have a good dialogue with them, build trust, build confidence for them. You're doing a service for your customer, you're doing a service for your brand, you're doing a service for the whole industry, the whole movement when you're telling the truth, being informed and motivating, inspiring, and educating as you go. So a lot of times people will ask, so then what brands are doing a good job of communicating sustainability? Well, there are a whole bunch out there. I've got a whole bunch of videos that we've been posting lately on different brands, but brands that I really like the way, of course, that Patagonia talks about sustainability. I love how early they were to the party, of course, their biggest commitment, but I think they've always done a good job of being upfront with their customers and saying, hey, here's a problem that we have found. Here's what we're doing about it. Here's the research that we are supporting. We don't have a solution yet. We're still using, this problem X, Y, or Z, and we're going to keep you posted. Stay tuned here. Here's a blog. Here's a website to follow to learn more about this issue and to learn about what we are doing to try to address it. So I love that approach. I love Eileen Fisher's approach, right? Good, informative, holistic approach. You can all of these websites, when you go through there, you can sort of dive in and have a look at things they're doing on the environmental side, the social side, throughout their supply chain, all the way back to raw materials, etc. I love the work that Nudie Jeans does, the transparency that they have, the humbleness, open sort of door approach to just like, hey, here is everything. Dive in, have a look. You can download their certificates, their certifications, etc. They'll tell you if they have not visited a factory. If they have, they're not overhyping it. They're just being very matter of fact and kind of explaining and showing you what they're doing along the way. Really like the way Burton communicates things as well. I think they've always done a good job of putting their goals out there, coming back, measuring themselves against those goals, even when they didn't hit them, explaining what's going on, explaining what they're still doing. That is that honest and humble approach that we need. So have a look at a few of those brands and leave some comments below. If there are brands that you love, if you love the way that your favorite brand is communicating, or if you think that your team is doing a good job, we want to hear about it. Put it in here. These are the tips, though, that I have for what to do when it comes to communicating sustainability and what not to do. So if you're trying to answer that question, how do we communicate sustainability to our customers? I hope that was helpful. So if you like videos like this, be sure to hit the subscribe button and follow along with all the other content we're putting out there. And if you want to learn more about sustainability in the industry, make sure you download the guide, 35 things that you need to know on sustainability in the apparel industry to help further along your industry. That is free down below. There's a link there. Link to all these websites that I just mentioned are there below. But hopefully you can take this advice, share it with anybody that you think needs to know it, and I will see you at the next video. Thanks for watching.